All right, the last conference of the day was, of course, Sony, and people were really concerned as to what Sony was going to talk about. Were they even going to mention DRM, online requirements? So did they? Let's find out. Starting out, Sony announced a couple things that were going to be coming out. They showed off, or they said the God of War 1 and 2 HD, as well as Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy X 2 HD would be coming out to the PlayStation Vita. If there's one thing I commend Sony for, is that they continue to support the Vita in some capacity, regardless of it not having the greatest of sales. They also started talking about The Walking Dead Season 2. The first episode is going to be called 400 Days, and they're actually going to have a Vita bundle where they have the first season of Walking Dead plus 400 Days in a bundle with the Vita. After that, they showed footage for Gran Turismo 6, Beyond Two Souls, and then an indie game called Rain, or I think it was an indie game. I've never seen it before. And then they showed off Last of Us, Batman Arkham Origins. Those were just a slew of different trailers, really quick succession, except for Batman Arkham Origins, which we did see a good trailer of, which obviously, as we know, Kevin Conroy will not be voicing Batman, and Mark Hamill will not be voicing the Joker. But the people who are taking over for it seem to do a pretty good job. I was very impressed that they were able to pull it off. They then showed off a new game called The Order 1886, which is a steampunk-looking game that looks to be taking place, again, in 1886, but it has like modern/future weaponry. So there was a guy who had like a gun that was kind of like a Tesla cannon. And it looks like it's going to be a game where you fight hordes of monsters, kind of like, horde mode. The trailer, that's pretty much all it showed, but I'm really intrigued to see what else it's about. Killzone Shadowfall was mentioned, Drive Club, Infamous Second Son, those were all just kind of mentioned, Knack, and then they showed, if you remember at the PS4 release conference, they showed off this tech demo from Quantic Dream that just showed an old man's face. Turns out that's part of a game, and it's called The Dark Sorcerer. We got a trailer for it where the Dark Sorcerer, who is that old man, was doing this giant kind of thing where he was summoning something, and then he forgot his line, and he's like, shit. And then he's on a green screen, and he's like, can you give me that line again? It was probably one of the best laughs I got of all E3 so far. Really entertaining, and it was really cool. And it was really amazing to see just how real that old man looked. It was very convincing. I was very impressed. After that, the people who made Bastion showed off Transistor. It was the same trailer that we had seen before. After that, I think probably the most important thing for people like us at VVG TV that was announced is that PlayStation is going to be supporting indie developers very heavily, in the sense that indie developers are going to be able to self-publish on the PlayStation 4 platform. And then they announced some of the indie games that are going to be coming to PlayStation 4, including Don't Starve, Mercenary Kings, Octodad, Secret Ponchos, Raze, Outlast, which I'm super excited for, Oddworld New and Tasty, and Galaxy. It's hard to say that, because I want to say like Galaxy something, but it's Galaxy. GALAK-Z. After that, Diablo 3 was announced. Some new content that's going to be coming to it. Final Fantasy Versus 13, they showed that off with a lot of... It looks like it's going to be a lot of action with not as many classic RPGs like we're used to with Final Fantasy. So I was really kind of thrown off by it, to be honest. It looked very cool, though. Then probably one of the biggest announcements from this conference was that Kingdom Hearts 3 is indeed being made at the moment. And people went crazy. Yeah, I have not had the chance to play Kingdom Hearts. I hear good things about it. I need to get a copy at some point. Assassin's Creed 4 was shown off. And while the game ended up crashing and freezing a lot, it did look very impressive. I really wanted to see what all happened, but unfortunately, the demo did freeze during a cutscene, and so we didn't get to see any more of it. After that, Watch Dogs was shown with a full playthrough, and it looks... Every single video I've seen of Watch Dogs, it seems to be getting better and better, and this one was just even more intense. There's a part where the guy was able to call in help from his friends online who had tablets out, and they were able to like shoot down and use different. They shot down a helicopter They used some of the environmental stuff to stop some cops so that he could get away. Really cool stuff and really cool implementation of online tabletry and all this different technology that we have now. After that, NBA 2K14 was shown off, followed by The Elder Scrolls Online. I love The Elder Scrolls, and I hope this game turns out good, but I don't know if it's going to. I mean, I feel like Elder Scrolls has been a single-player experience for so long. For it to go online, I'm not sure if it's going to be great. However, it seems like you can still play it single-player if you want. So, after that, probably the weirdest trailer to come out of this conference was Mad Max. I didn't know a Mad Max game was being made. I didn't know anybody wanted a Mad Max game, but apparently they're making a Mad Max game. So it's a Mad Max game. Yeah. Then the shit hit the fan. Are you ready for this? PS4 will support used games in all senses of the term. There will be no online connection that you need to have. You do not need to check in every 24 hours. PlayStation Plus is going to be giving free games again. They're going to be doing everything that they're doing now for $5. It's going to be kind of like Xbox Live, and the free version will be kind of like Xbox Live Silver. Obviously, Xbox Live, they do have a much better support system. They have more servers. They're able to support that stuff a lot more, but when you're on a tight budget, $5 definitely seems much more affordable. So Sony just made a complete, just personal hit towards Microsoft with what they were saying, and the crowd went wild. The moment it happened, I knew, nail in the coffin. Sony knows what they're doing. After that, they showed off Destiny, which I had not really been interested in Destiny, to be honest. I've loved Halo. I haven't played Halo 4, but I've played 1, 2, 3, ODST, Reach, Wars. I played all of them and liked them all. But yeah, I wasn't interested in Destiny at all. And it wasn't until I got to see this demo that I actually finally was interested in it, because they showed this really cool system, which I know that had been talked about, but I hadn't seen it, and so I wasn't sure about it, where they had people online playing together, and there was something called a public event, where this giant thing happened within the world, which is kind of a part of the campaign, but everybody was involved. So you had like this team of 3 people who were working on something, and then out of nowhere this public event happens, and 30 other people arrive, and they're all part of this public event fighting off this boss. And that was pretty cool. I really liked that. I'm excited for that. After that, Sony announced Gaikai, showing that they're going to be doing a lot of streaming of console games. So like PS3 games, they'll be doing streaming. So kind of like what you'd get with the Xbox now, where instead of just having the old architecture in it, you're going to be doing emulation, but in this term it would be streaming. And the final nail in the coffin was the price point. PlayStation 4 will cost $399, $100 less than the Xbox One. That is how the conference ended. That was PS4. That was Sony's conference. Clearly, they knew what they needed to talk about, and I think that's what they did best. They showed off some really cool exclusives. They showed real support for indie games, which obviously here at VBG TV we care about very much. And then they showed that they are not for online DRM, at least not now, not yet. And it may have been in response to Xbox's huge negative reaction. Who knows? Maybe they had something in place, but then decided not to. We'll never know. But yeah, so they completely stole that entire thing by being able to know what they needed to talk about. And they talked about all that stuff to ease everybody's minds. And I think that's what they did best. What they did worst, I don't know. Oh, yeah, I know what the worst of this entire conference was. It was the fact that at least 2 occasions games were freezing during the demos. And I don't know if it had to do with the hardware or what, but it did seem like an issue. Maybe stability issues with the console. I don't know. But we saw both with Destiny and with Assassin's Creed 4 that the game was having moments where it would freeze, and it did freeze a few times in Destiny. Thankfully, it didn't freeze permanently, but there were a few stutter moments. And again, Assassin's Creed 4 completely froze. So that would probably be the worst in my opinion. But again, we would love to hear your opinion on it. Let's keep it nice. Let's not start a war. Again, this is a hobby. There are worse things in this world that we can argue about that need to be talked about. This is entertainment. This is for our pleasure. Let's talk about it, but let's be adults about it and let's be mature about it. So let us know what you thought about this conference, what you think about the dynamic between Sony and Microsoft now, and what exactly you think will happen for the future of both of these consoles. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next Indie Spotlight.